Are you good to go, Heather? Heather. Esther.
This will now be recorded.
Good evening, Belchertown. Welcome to the March 10th, 2026 meeting of your planning board. Tonight, we've got a rather limited agenda with 2 items on it. The first one is a timed event at 7 p.m. for a continued public hearing for a definitive subdivision plan for applicant Jason LaFleur, or LaFleur and Sons, for the Missing Moon Path subdivision. And then after that, we've got an untimed event looking at the right of first refusal. David and Valthea Fry are selling more land on Cold Spring Road. And they've got 3 lots under contract now, and they're looking to get the town's right of first refusal released from those lots so they can sell them. And we'll be making a recommendation to the select board. The select board will actually be the determination official on that. Got any additions with consent of the members on non-voting matters? Minutes from our last meeting. Bills, I don't know if I saw bills down there or not.
Nope.
Minutes, no bills. The town planner report and the members report, it being 7 o'clock or thereabout. I'll reopen the public hearing for the Missing Moon Path definitive subdivision review. Mr. LaFleur is here, and he's got Sherman and Frederick, our engineers, here also. We had a punch list of things we asked you to look at the last time you were here. Would you like me to turn it over to you? You want to go through the punch list and the results that you've obtained or the positions that you've taken? Or do you want me to introduce them?
I'll follow through our letter that we sent in with our revisions, and I'll let you get you up to date on these projects. So the stormwater report and the plans have been revised to meet the last of the fire bond comments, and also to meet the requirements of the Conservation Commission. The Conservation Commission wanted to make sure that our outfalls and end of line treatment was 25 feet from the wetland limits. So we've relocated those items at the entrances and satisfied that. The fire department has had a chance to review and accept the turning movement analysis at the proposed intersection of Aldridge Street and Missing Moon, and the applicant has supplied a total of 12 lots that he'd like to suggest be put under covenant, and in addition to that, we have a lot release schedule so that both the board and the applicant understand, what needs to occur before a lot can get released. That's the thought. There's a discussion about the chain link fence proposed around the detention basins, the best management practices, and we put a detail on the plan set showing a 6-inch gap and the bent ends, so that there's going to be no obstructions to the critters. And then finally, we have in addition to the traffic report addendum showing that back at the beginning of this, when Meadow Pond was just a cul-de-sac, the Mass Highway evaluated the entrance. They said that the entrance has the required stopping sight distance, and they were satisfied with the entrance at Route 9. As I was talking about the Conservation Commission last night, we met with them, and they're satisfied with the project. They're moving ahead with issuing an order of conditions for the project. I believe that catches us up to date.
We did get a letter from the Conservation Administrator with the results of their meeting last night. So we have that here at the board. And we did get a letter from the fire chief on the radius. That's part of our records here. And we did get another letter dated March 6th from Ty and Bond, which I'm assuming that you've seen also, because it was copied to you. And they looked at everything that's been submitted and the changes that have been made, and based on their review, they say that all their concerns have been addressed. They have nothing further to add. And we did get the information that you submitted from your traffic engineer, and that's part of the application materials that we'll be looking at tonight. So and the plans have been corrected for, as you said, for the fencing, and we did get a proposal for covenants on 12 lots, if you saw that, and then a proposed release schedule, although you realize that the release schedule is going to be based on an estimate of values, as we go through, right? So if there's still a lot of cost in front of us, we may not necessarily hit that release schedule, but I don't see anything wrong. Did you see anything wrong with the release schedule implicitly? Just on the basis of,
I mean, as long as the lots are accessible and any building site, I think the fire department's pretty clear about not wanting lots released until the lots can be served by fire emergency. But they've said that in the past. I don't think it is any comments.
we did get a letter, another memorandum from the Director of Public Works. I don't know if you received that or not, because it's dated today. And it says, after reviewing the additional peer review memos from Ty and Bond, oh, you do have it. Okay, fine. I was going to read it out loud for the public. The DPW says that they have no further comments or concerns with the subdivision plan. So we're boiling down to just a few matters. One was, and I didn't bring it up last meeting, one of our members, Bjorn, had missed a meeting, and he did review the video and audio of the meeting, which under state law now, the Mulligan rule allows you to miss one meeting and then catch up on it. So he did do that and submit a letter that's in the file in our records that he completed that review. And I didn't mention that last time, so I just want to get that out there. Did you have anything more with your presentation, or should we go into a discussion?
No, I'm finished with my presentation.
All right. The one thing that we see sticking on last time was the traffic analysis. And that additional information came in. There was talk about going to the Department of Transportation and having signage put up, but that's not what they recommended. The traffic engineer, I need that, I got 3 packets information. It's in this one. The bulk of it seems to be under the memorandum dated February 13th, supplemental traffic impact assessment. And it says that they feel that the site distance is good both to the east and the west. They say, we do recommend that the vines be removed from the utility pole on the east side of Ware Road by the appropriate utility owner to improve the available site distance. And they handed in information that from Mass DOT's permitting and determination on Meadow Pond Road. When Meadow Pond and Jason's Way were originally constructed, saying that there was adequate site distance. And they said in their memory on February 13th, we agree with the Mass DOT's determination of the site distance on Ware Road is adequate and conforms to state and federal recommendations. So they're asking to have the intersection taken as is. That's your basic position, right?
Correct.
And you handed in information that show. I don't think the issue is, I mean, if we're gonna go into discussion on this matter, I don't know how far people wanna continue to discuss it. But the issue is not whether it was an approved, improvement. Yeah, of course it was approved by Mass DOT. It's there, it exists. But, if we're adding additional traffic coming out of there, is that a reason to further explore that particular intersection? I think that's the real issue here. So if I remember right, your engineer was arguing that the amount of trips for 18 houses would be minimal and that there are two ways to get in and out of this subdivision. So everything's not going to be coming out one anyway. All right. So that's where it lies. I did see, I was going through the packet of stuff that got handed in. If you look at the permit, there's big bold language in the middle of it. It says the grantee or subsequent owners advise that this permit is intended to grant access and egress for the 16-unit residence subdivision. Any further development, expansion, new business, or change in use shall require the filing of a request for a determination of need for a new permit. I didn't know how to interpret that. Does that mean that that restriction only went with the permit and when it was issued, and then once the permit was finalized by completion of the project, that request to have any change or modification of the subdivision resubmitted back to the DOT is, there's no further review on a completed subdivision once the permit is completed, is it?
But this,
No, I don't think there would be.
but it says
You
any,
might recall that subdivision changed as well, because then it became a through street connecting to the other subdivision.
and there are more than 16 residents.
A heck of a lot more. Yeah.
There are 33 more,
Yeah.
including Jason's Way and Hemlock Hall.
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
But all those houses along Old Street, so.
So that suggests further development.
And the expansion.
But
It was all done and completed. Was it public road or not? So I don't know how we would have, especially since this street doesn't 3% with the state highway. I don't know how the state highway department would give them a net or a road that doesn't intersect their road.
The permit runs to somebody else. The permit runs to the developer that built Meadow Pond Road.
Yeah, and that's
So
done it.
the injunction against them for their further behaviors against them, not against somebody that's building a piece of road off somewhere else.
Right.
Is Meadow Pond and accepted as public way?
yeah. Yeah.
Well, if we can either because this seems to be the only thing that is still in discussion.
Right.
And if it's over with, then it's over with. We're ready to make a decision on the definitive plan.
There were, the February 13th letter to Mr. LaFleur, because it says we measured the site distance we're talking about looking out to the left, to be approximately 350 feet. And then further down, it says that in 2004, they determined that same distance was
Yes.
550 feet. And I don't quite understand how that could have,
I was a little
Change.
confused by that as well.
So, if we read the sentence, that they visited the project area and visually attempted to establish the site distance by standing at Meadow Pond and watching vehicles approach. And so they measured the distance to be approximately 350 feet.
Mhm.
They were being conservative and they did not go and do an accurate measurement as in having the actual obstruction height location on the street and go and stand out in the middle of the right-of-way travel lane and visually measure to the other obstruction size. So they made an approximation and then looking back at the highway, Mass Highway, back in 2003.
oh, is it?
3.
Three.
They stated that there's approximately 550
Right.
foot site distance.
In which direction?
This is looking to the left. I think that looking to the right's not at issue, is it?
Looking east is not an issue.
Right, because it's
That's
700.
700.
Right.
And you have to remember that the Mass Highway had the the ability to look at the profile, as in the way the roadway was actually constructed.
So they were making measurements that your guy
Right.
didn't make.
Right.
Anybody have any other questions on that issue? Anybody have any questions? Any other?
I just want to, is it here that you move things?
So, yeah,
This, it was this little spot there that's above my,
So we made an angle to the swale and we placed a level spreader out here so that's the level spreader is our outlet and the level spreader is, as you can see, the 25-foot wetland offset is 25 feet from the wetlands, and we did the same fashion over here so that it's visual. It's going to be a very easy thing just to exert in the future on an as-built, as in, that level spreader is 25 feet from the wetlands on that, and that's where our discharge.
that had been my big question last time. Thank you.
Any other questions on the board before I turn it to the public?
I wanted to discuss the covenants. And on the covenants, number one, I appreciate the schedule of release. I think that's a unique idea. I hadn't seen that in my limited time on the board. However, it really does come back to what the Schedule G in terms of outstanding work and what needs to be done, et cetera. You valued the lots at 130. And right after this, we're going to go into a discussion on right of first refusal for some lots that we have an actual sale and purchase agreement on, and they're roughly 75,000. And when I look around at Hickory Hills subdivision, lots there are 80,000. How do you think? Maybe I'll give you 90. It depends. But where does the 130 come from? Because that certainly doesn't appear reasonable to my. I'm not in the business, but
Hickory Hills, those are smaller. Of course, they're not an acre.
so built by Pachito because of that. But you look at like Woodland,
Others on Meadow Pond. Any newer subdivision are going to go more than, say, on
Post spread, because it's people like a newer subdivision to build a newer house. And I asked
with P Realtors, and that's the safe number they call the building.
And the idea of the covenants is that the subdivision is in trouble financially, can't complete the job, the town has to take over. It's a distressed sale kind of situation. So, I guess I'm not buying the 130, I guess is what I'm saying. Under those circumstances, trying to protect the town. Having said that, though, it still comes down to we need to make sure that the town is protected in case there is outstanding work, and the cost of the outstanding work is what's documented on the Schedule G. So that really has to take, in my mind, that has to take priority as far as releasing, rather than just looking at your suggested schedule here. The very first thing is I run a bulldozer through there and rough grade the road, give me 2 lots, kind of a thing. So, although I appreciate the thinking and I it's a great idea, I still have to go by what our system is, which is the Schedule G kind of valuations. Okay. And I do want to go back to what the town planner alluded to in terms of not having flammables and fire loads in there without the ability for first responders to get in. So that's got to take precedent in terms of the development and the accessing, in terms of when we release covenants as well. So
Meaning that the milestones might not correspond to,
correct. So I like the idea, but
Sure. Well, what do you want me to do?
well, you want 12 lots under covenant, 5 lots released to start. And is your issue how quickly you can get the other 12 released? Or is it being able to get up and running with the 5 that you've got?
I would just maybe not get up and running too quick, but I would like to sell a couple on paper, just to
Get some cash flow, yeah,
Help me build.
understand. And move them before you've got road access and fire capability to get in there, et cetera.
They'll know that they can't
Mm-hmm.
until a
can't
certain,
break ground.
start breaking ground until a certain point.
Would you be comfortable with
I-
a different number? 12 and 5?
Would that be controlled by building permits? You don't have access to your site, so you can't get a unit?
Oh, we don't have that. I understand,
No, but I'm just saying that the building inspector might say that. I don't know.
well, we can't create a requirement for the building inspector,
That's true.
Can I-
that's not our purview,
But I
but.
talk to the fire and be like, have him come and do an inspection. Say, is this sufficient for you to?
Well, so their concern is going to be twofold. Number one is, do you have a fire load there? Dried lumber that could catch and go. The other is, if there is a physical accident, if a contractor or somebody, God forbid, gets injured drastically, can they even get an ambulance to them? Those are the issues that prioritize in terms of when building gets started, is what kind of access there is for first responders before things get moving. Having said all this,
The performance guarantee could be modified during the course of the subdivision itself. I'm looking at 270-32
the
E 5 little b. And based on the cost analysis that we're doing during the subdivision as it's progressing, we feel that the estimate of the performance guarantee that's been made is not adequate. We can ask to have it increased or stop the subdivision. And that would take in your scenario where the land is worth something over here, the economy goes south, and now it's worth less during the actual construction of the subdivision. We might want to secure more property. So if there was a identification or we didn't calculate enough land in the beginning, we could modify it as it went along and say, we want 2 more lots. Or we're not going to release the lots that you asked on last schedule because we don't think the values, as they're actually being carried out, were the same as we estimated them going in.
So that's
a flexible agreement.
that would work for once these milestones have been hit, but what about the initial condition?
Well, so this kind of supersedes the milestone concept,
Right.
you know?
I guess what I'm getting at was would you be more comfortable with 13 or 14 lots held as collateral and 3 or 4 lots released at the outset, so that you get your jump start? I'm just asking it,
Yeah.
what would make you more comfortable?
Well, the thing that makes me most comfortable is I understand the need to move some of the lots before the road and infrastructure and utilities and whatnot are in it. I understand that. It's the making sure, and I don't know, it's through the building inspector or whatever, that we don't start digging foundations and doing actual construction before the rough access is created and the,
Well, I mean, we
know?
have to get in there to do that work, so we would definitely have access.
but you can get an excavator in where you can't get an
But
ambulance.
you can't get a concrete truck in there unless I have a nice.
What's the minimum number of lots that you need to get going? You want 5.
Or
Sure, I'll go with 4. That's fine.
So what are you changing here? Milestone?
No,
No, initial.
Establishing the covenants up front,
The initial condition.
the initial conditions.
Thir-
13 and 4. And then the only other question I had was, do we have anything in writing with the DPW on the one-way bridge in terms of what you're gonna do support-wise?
Well, on the previous letter, we stated that it's in writing on the letter to the board saying that the applicant is going to provide funds for that.
Okay, that is in writing. Do we need to make that, that's part of the plan? I mean, do we need to make that as a condition? Or is that incorporated in the official plan? A letter like that? That's incorporated, isn't it?
Is there,
Yeah.
there's no disadvantage
Purposes
to
of
having,
moving ahead, can we say that we could condition approval to the supplying that letter? Or do you think it's already sufficiently there?
well, there wouldn't be much disadvantage to conditioning it.
What's the date of the letter?
So, so in our correspondence to the board on January 29th, item number 6, the Department of Public Works and applicant has agreed the applicant will fund the purchase of a yield sign for placement on Albridge Street at the west approach to the single lane bridge.
Okay. I'm fine.
Can we just
Yeah.
go back to the,
The lot release
collateral?
schedule.
So do we not need to address what your concerns are between milestone 1 and milestone 5 because of what Dan just
Well,
read
yeah,
out?
we're built around,
We're secure
Yeah.
because of what that says in the regulations. Okay, so we don't have to.
Yeah, I think the regulations is our bottom line for the way.
for how it's
regulations are
controlled,
being-
yeah.
how it's controlled. I mean, this is a great agreement, but we're gonna go by
Yeah.
the regulation itself, okay?
As far as the traffic, I'll accept the Mass DOT line, stopping distances. Don't like it. You know, I've come out that road a number of times just to see what it's like. But I'll accept the engineering from the Mass DOT.
Any other questions or discussion on this side of the table? All right, this is a public hearing. Need members of the public here, and I think can go to land. So I'm going to open it up to the public. If there's somebody here that has a question that you could address to the board, or you have something that you would like to say, please raise your hand, identify where you live, and we'll hear what you have to say. Anybody in the audience? No? Anybody in go-to land that wants to have comment? I see that the DPW director's up there, but we have your letter, Linda, that you were satisfied with this. If there's anything else that you want to say, now's the time to say it. And I don't see any green up there. All right, so I'm gonna close off the public comment period. And we can, well, let me just give you one more shot at anything that you want to contribute before we go into discussion, because once we start discussing approval or not, I don't want to get back into questioning and taking evidence.
So I myself have gone up to the intersection in the vehicle, stopped at the end of the roadway. I just want to press upon you guys that the site distance is, if the operator is 11 feet from the travel way. So if you think about the parking lot outside, the parking spaces are 18 feet deep. You would basically not even be at the end of the parking space in a parking lot. You'd be that close to the travel lane. That's where you're expected to be able to see right and to see left. Looking left, the vehicles are actually apparent as they come around the bend and then approach on the straight, which is over 600 feet. It may not be the high mass highway says you need to see something that's only 2.5 feet tall instead of the higher SUVs that I can see. But in both directions, that entrance seems to be easily observed early on. It's much more restrictive on other entrances than that. On that
After
regard.
you mentioned that you had sat in your car, I did that too, and maybe it's a height difference in a car. I don't know, you're taller than I am, and maybe you have a pickup truck and I have a little Subaru, but I couldn't quite see what you were talking about, so that may be a little bit variable depending on how tall or how not tall.
I mean, I went out there, I measured, the distance away that you're supposed to be, 3.5 feet, took the picture, and like he said, you could still see, maybe you can't see the tires, but you could see the top half of the car
Well,
around the bend.
I think you'd mentioned seeing a windshield or,
Upper half,
yeah.
all the way around that, which is well over 600 feet down the roadway. So, I mean, it's, yes, they travel fast, and yes, it seems extreme to get close to a travel lane that's going that fast in order to get your visibility, but that's the measure of sight distance.
Did we contact the DOT at all about any kind of a sign that would say, concealed intersection on right?
So
Kind of concept. I don't know what the standards or anything like that, but.
we did not contact them, and I felt it was unreasonable to contact them because if you're on that travel lane, coming around that bend, approaching Meadow Pond, you can see the green street sign at the bend. So you're over 600 feet from that street sign. There's having a warning sign even further back is just what it, you expect a warning sign to only be a few hundred feet from what it's warning. If you consider Sabin Street, when you come over the rise and Sabin Street is on the right, there's much less warning for Sabin. State has not chosen to put a warning sign there. So
I find it's interesting that in 2003, somebody wrote a letter to DOT saying there are issues with this intersection, and DOT came back and said, well, we came out, we measured it, here's the stopping distances, it is fine. But the fact is, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, people were concerned about the exact same thing that we're concerned about today.
That was Jim Very, as the chair of the planning.
Right, but Mass DOT said it meets the regulations.
I was only looking at it from the point of view of the person exiting, and I opted to go down to the quad and turn around and take a right instead, but I don't know, is there anything about how effective a sign like that
I have
is
no idea.
for the person
I
who's speeding?
don't even know if those signs exist. I don't know if that's been used elsewhere in the state. It's just a thought. However, I also take into account, and I guess this is really part of the discussion, but I take into account the lack of accidents and whatnot in the 10-year history that your traffic engineer brought forward, that, essentially there has not been any kind of significant, serious, or even fender bender kind of traffic incident caused by that intersection in the 10 years. So that weighs as well.
Right, we have a complete application. We asked for certain changes during the 3 meetings that we've had, and they've accommodated those requests. We've got a clean letter from Ty and Bond. We also have appropriate documentation from the Conservation Commission, the DPW, and the Fire Department. I'd see no reason to withhold approval on this unless somebody wanted to make conditions, any further conditions. And the only one I heard discussed was on the proposed release schedule, but I think we've made it clear to them that we're going by the regulation for the release schedule. We haven't agreed to this release schedule, so that we're not bound by it. We're going to go by the regulation, okay?
Have we not said that the initial one would be 4? Or
So you want a condition of a release schedule?
No.
if-
That 13 go in covenant.
Yeah.
And
covenant, that's right. So this document says
12.
12, and we've sort of
And we're saying, we're working on
negotiated
13.
13. That's the only thing I think we've,
All right, so we're agreeing to this release schedule as modified.
no.
So,
All we're doing is setting
Same.
the number
Of
of
available,
covenanted lots.
all right, so that will be a
30.
condition then,
Yeah.
to approval. All right, so we do have one condition then. And that
Well-
is
one change.
one change, and that's on the release schedule for performance guarantee.
The initial condition. 13 lots.
Meant to refer to the release schedule. We just say
Ignore that. And
Yeah.
Oh.
we're holding 13 in covenant.
13 lots. Okay. And then there'll be a separate form for the covenants and all that, and so we'll do that.
We still haven't voted to close
Yeah.
the public hearing. Okay.
Yeah, I was just,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
going through where we stand.
Yep.
To see if there's anything else that needed to be discussed before we close the public hearing and went into deliberation, final deliberation. So. make a
Dan,
motion.
can I ask a question?
Yes, Linda, please.
So the lots that you're discussing on the covenants, will there be a plan supplied so we know which lots those are?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, 13 lots in covenant, to be specified. Okay. Now, I'm gonna make a motion that we close the public hearing portion of the application for definitive plan.
I'll second.
Seconded, Mr. Hoffler, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll move it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so the public meeting part is closed. We're not going to take any further discussion or evidence from the proponent or from the public. It's for us to make any final discussion. Does anybody else have anything else that they still want to draw upon? All right, hearing none, I'll make a motion that we approve the definitive subdivision plan for Mishi Moon Path in accordance with our subdivision regulations 270-32, subparagraphs 3, subparagraph C, subparagraph 3, which is approval, modification, or disapproval. So, motion's made. Is there a second?
Second.
Elizabeth is shaking her head.
Yes.
Yes,
Second.
Elizabeth is second. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll move to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
And the one condition on there was holding the 13 lots in covenant, which is going to be on the approval page, okay? So,
Right, so there is a 20-day appeal period. In the meantime, we'll get together the covenant document, and that's where it's, you need to, I'll send you a note. Say what you need to do for your approval.
what are your questions?
No questions, thank you.
Good night, appreciate it.
Oh.
Sure.
See, that area, see? See?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Up is still a rough thing,
And I got 5 signatures. All right, I think we've got a copy of the, copy of the overhead for the lots that are in question. It's lots 12, 13, and 14. There's also copies of the real estate agreements that went out. Got a bigger map here. Does everybody, you can see the bigger map? With the colors on it and stuff, not necessarily. I think that most of them have been released. I think we've been through them all pretty much, and they've been sold. These are the last three. 12 and 13 are going to some outfit called Proform Construction Incorporated, and then the third one, number 14, is gonna go to a Ms. Kibbe, and that's right next door to the one that Todd Kibbe bought here a year ago, so I'm assuming that there's probably some relation going there. And the lots are selling for roughly 75 grand a piece. That's the rate for a 1 acre road front lot in Belchertown now, huh? Seems to be. That's what they're selling for up there. The question is, is there any value to these properties to have the town exercise its right of first refusal? These are in chapter 61, I think 61A, yeah. Agriculture, the people that used to own this farm used to hay these lots. And so it was marginal farmland to begin with. And the only thing that I could say that would be significant for its value is it does back up on the Herman Covey Game Management Area. But there was conversations held between our conservation office, the planning board, I was part of them too, Kestrel Trust, and the purchasing agent for the Fish and Wildlife Service here a couple of years ago when these lots were initially going to be broken up, to discuss whether or not the state had any appetite or money for stepping into the town's shoes and exercising the rights of first refusal to join these parcels up to the game management area. And they said no. That they weren't looking to be putting their money into roadfront building lots, which have premium numbers involved with them. It'd be very expensive. They were looking at spending their money on larger tracts of land where they could get it a little bit cheaper and buy more land and have some conservation significance that goes with it. So now I live in this area. I live on Cold Spring, but I'm in a butter to an abutter to an abutter, and I'm over 300 feet. So I'm not within the distance that would trigger a financial interest on my part. So I can't really stand off of this committee or this board with any valid excuse. Would just be I don't want to see it happen, something like that. But they've got buyers. They're going to build houses there, and they're already building a dozen houses right on that stretch. So it's sort of I think a hot spot in Belchertown right now. I don't think we have any other places where that much construction is going on at this time. But there it is. Does anybody else have any reason that they think that we should be holding on to the right of first refusal on this property?
Well, each time we've done this, it's been less and less. It's a great shame that it couldn't have joined
These are the
the,
bigger pieces. So there was some big pieces, like 30 acres. These are what's left over, the little building lots on front. And now they're starting on the other side. So there's property that's being sold, but it was part of the same farm area. There were two farms that got put together. One was by a guy named Bill Shea, and the other one was McGee. I don't remember his first name. But Valthea Fry McGee, her father owned that piece where they're starting to develop on Michael Sears before. So that was sort of the joinder that put those two parcels together initially. And then when the Mr. McGee died and Mr. Shea died, Althea Fry ended up with and Fry was her married name, ended up with the whole thing, so she's been starting to parcel off property in there, quite consistently, so.
Having said that, I don't see any reason to recommend that the right of first refusal be invoked.
You can make the motion, because it's breaking my heart.
Make a motion that we recommend to the select board that they do not invoke the right of first refusal for David J. Fry and Balthea M. Fry revocable trusts on Cold Springs map 260 lot.
36.
Says lot 36, but it's to be lot 12, 13, and 14.
I'll second.
Seconded by Bjorn, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
So, Mr. Doug, you can write a letter of recommendation to the select board that they not exercise the right of first refusal on this parcel, so the Fries can, get it on the, continue their, not to get it on the market, but continue their sales efforts. All right, I've got the last thing, administrative duty we have is the minutes from our last meeting, February 24th, 2026. They've been previously circulated. Does anybody have any additional edits, changes that they want to make tonight? Hearing none, I'll move to a vote for approval of the minutes as written. And can I get a second?
I'll second.
Bjorn, just seconded it. Motion made and seconded, and for discussion on the motion, hearing none, I'll move it to the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, minutes. Doug, would you like to make the town planner report for us?
I shall do that. Let's see. Hyundai, the MVP group, which I explained before, the Chosen Sea project is a resilient housing trust which is intended to be a resource for existing house owner residents to get assistance for climate-related repairs and improvements they might need to make. And so we need to get a warrant article for the town meeting with the bylaw. So we'll be in this room Monday requesting that of the select board. Get it got on the town meeting warrant while we continue to work on how this is actually going to play out. But this at least establishes a simple bylaw.
So where would that bylaw be categorized in the chapters?
I believe it would be a general bylaw.
So, okay.
Would it be zoning?
It wouldn't be chapter 145.
No.
Correct.
Yeah, it might be 146, I suppose. Goes next. Whatever. Subsequent, yeah. Yesterday I had a nice walk in the woods. The snow was about a foot deep. On Liberty, I met with the two state people who, well, one's a forester, the other is the person sort of administering the grant program, Forest Preserve Grant. And this was off of Kimball Street, 127 acres between Quabbin and James Brook Conservation Area. We have a verbal agreement from the sellers on the price, so, and a draft PNS that I sent to them, so, that's basically in the works, and, so, it looked pretty good in terms of, being awarded the grant. Positive statement.
If the grant comes through, does that cover 100% of the?
No, it covers 50% and it's a reimbursement, so, that is another town meeting article that would have to be voted on in front of money. And then get reimbursed, by the state and then Kestrel and its, resources that promise to fill in the gap.
Is it okay to ask what 127 acres costs over there?
The appraisal was for 760. So there's that. And somebody came up last week, the town manager called me and said, turns out we need to change a couple of wording items in the zoning bylaw. Because it's no longer the select board as the sweeping authority for the ZBA or the alternate for the planning board. So you'd schedule a public hearing for that. And we'll proceed and have that at town meeting also. Some of us met last week to discuss how we might conform with the state's energy rules. So considering their rules have just come out, but you gotta have time to see where we meet them and don't. We opted for requesting a moratorium, so we have one more thing. We don't have timing yet, and I've sent a letter to council requesting advice on that. I've not gotten a response. There's that. Lake Wallace Woods Trail.
And for clarity, this is a moratorium on solar panels and battery storage, both.
Those two items, yes. Sorry.
Thank you.
Pointing that out. Yes, freestanding batteries and commercial solar. Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything coming in on those, but you never know. It's better to just kind of stub it off and say, we're working on a regulation here, or a bylaw adjustment. And John Picara of the Energy and Sustainability Committee is in the meeting. He and one of his committee member mates have already submitted a bit of a comparative draft of where our bylaws meet the state things. I haven't had time to really scrutinize.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. Yeah. So trails, yes. Lake Wallace Woods Trail, we've awarded the bid. Same guy who's built the sensory trail. So he just stepped together. We still got to get contract and all the typical stuff. First, you got to go through the conservation commission. And filing with the Natural Heritage Program, which should be a problem because the species they have in mind is in the Carnes, and we're not near Pond. Hazard mitigation plan is close to finish. PVPC has been doing that work. The fire chief has been blessed with being the sole signatory from here on out. And so the committee's work probably done, and chief will have a new plan for rescuing the oaks. Which is good. Community plan, we with Fuss and O'Neill are applying for the Eco One Stop Grant to update our transportation sections. So Linda and Don, our grant manager, and I met with Akeem for Fuss and O'Neill to get that project sort of the application underway. What are we looking for and what are we expecting? And just so forth. And they apply for the grant. They do all that work. There's no guarantee they'll get the consulting job, so, but that's one of the ways they do business. Okay. And, Community Plan website, we had a little glitch with the work that had not gotten done. The PVPC staff who was working on that was in over his head. He left, and we have an incomplete website project. So I spoke with the executive director, and she said, let me get back to you. And she said, you can cover it. We already have a quote from the local consultant who's already done some website work for us. I'm going to be meeting with him and Kate, our communications manager, and whoever else wants to do it, and then no, probably Jen Turner, and then PVPC will sort out what he's doing. He get that done. He has it we're up to it. Reminder: town meeting and town election are coming up in 2 months. May 11th town meeting, May 18th town election. If you don't vote, you forfeit your right to complain.
All set? Leonard, anything you'd like to share with the town tonight?
I have
Norms, or anything
Nothing
you'd
to
like to share with everybody?
I'm fine.
Elizabeth?
I have a quick question and just also a quick remark about the amazingness of the 4 electric car chargers out there. My car failed inspection and we have replaced it with an electric car. And this is a wonderful service. Is this sustainability committee who I should write my thank you letter to?
You should write your thank you letter to them, the director of public works, and the town manager. They're organized all.
Well, thank you for that. And the other is a question having to, Len might be the person to answer this, but around the cost of lots. If there's a purchase and sale for 75 grand for basically 1 acre lots on Cold Spring, where presumably they're having to put in septic and wells as well. Your question about where they came up with 130, I mean, given that we just finished saying that this is the hot spot in town for development. I mean, we didn't push it because
Well, I wanted to chime in, but as a real estate agent, he should have come in with a CMA from the 3 agents that he claims he spoke to.
right.
Each one of them should have given him a CMA on an empty lot of that size for this town. I don't see any lot in this town going for 130,000. I know.
That being said, when he sells one of those 4 lots, we'll have a number and we can release the remaining ones accordingly.
Based on, right.
So,
Well, it also said finished too
Right.
in the paperwork. So is he alluding to that they're going to be perked, the wells and septic designs are going to be done, so on and so on. There's a lot more that just goes into what is he
Right.
calling a finished
there's a
lot?
lot, yeah.
I thought I remembered that each property owner would have to deal with a stormwater approval for their particular lot.
Typically, that's how it's done, yeah. That, like Len was saying, who's going to buy a building lot without a well and approved septic design?
And with a giant basin that's straddling 2 of them. I mean, okay.
That could become a thought on in this project. I like that, but yeah, I'm 130, so I think nobody's selling lots for that. And maybe in Amherst, not in Belchertown.
Well, I did the math. If we hold another lot, and that brings it down to 93.
Mhm.
Which
Yeah.
is still 20 grand more than what we're talking about just up the road. Okay, it didn't seem the place to belabor it, but I was curious if,
I would have thought that he would have brought in some backup.
yeah.
Like if we said, what agents did you talk to? Right? Did you talk to an agent in South Dakota? I mean,
So when it comes to holding lots or releasing them, the ones, this should be sequential from the street. And so if you want, the first 2 in from Jason's Way and the first 2 in from Alder Street, that's probably okay.
For the reasons of access.
Access,
Yeah.
selling,
Yeah.
if you can get them out the door faster,
then you
it's
hold,
capital.
Yeah, you hold the ones in the middle because he has to work for it.
Yeah.
He's an incentive. Yeah.
The other aspect of holding covenant is that it doesn't give us any economic control. We cannot sell those lots. Even if somebody comes and says, I'll give you 200,000 for the lot, we
You
cannot.
don't own it, yeah.
We don't own it. You know, all the covenant gives us is the right to interfere and prevent him from selling it to somebody else. It doesn't provide a lot of protection for the town.
But you can then require cash or bond.
Which our new subdivision regulations will help give the town better protection. But he falls under the old ones where our hands are not very free to move.
Maybe we can all be thinking about how to, if we're faced with the traffic situation that we were faced with in this, are we always going to be hostage to something that was accepted under different conditions?
I mean, just kind of having this in mind and driving around town for the last month, like the number of ancient roads that have laid out where they are and have therefore, like, you're 2 stops away from a blind intersection pretty much anywhere you
Right.
go in town. And it's
The other thing, and to your point, is you look at the long dead end roads, Green Avenue, Shea Avenue. I mean, they go for miles, and that was acceptable back then. You know, that doesn't make it right
now,
today.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Anyway, I couldn't think of anything that we had the power to do, but it does seem like it's not quite right. And
We're done.
All set? The community summit this Saturday, the 14th. Jen Turner, our select board liaisons, was in here last meeting, asking whether we were going to participate on that. And I did not put it on the agenda. But we still should ask, was anybody planning on going to that? It's between 10 and 12 this Saturday in the auditorium.
That's what I was going to ask. Is a physical location?
It's here.
It's
and then-
here at the auditorium.
It's not at Shattuck.
Somehow I got the
That was
impression it was at Shattuck's.
Yeah, that was
Well,
Yeah,
that's
I
going to
have-
follow.
right.
What's going to follow?
They're going to do,
You can then go. You can then follow yourself out to Shattuck's.
yeah.
Shopping at Holyoke Mall follows as well. You know.
They were going to invite everybody out after that.
Okay, but it's 10 o'clock here at the auditorium.
And I'm a little loose on the concept of exactly what's supposed to happen, because when the initial pre-meeting was held, I did go to that one, and they advertised it as an opportunity for committees, boards, and nonprofits in town to meet the public and to try to get more volunteers to work on their particular, little things. But it seems to be a little bit more nebulous now. It sounds like
Brainstorming how to recruit more people? I don't know.
I'm not too sure exactly what's going to happen here
The news running.
and who's running it. The last idea that I thought was floated was that various groups were going to have booths or, a place where they could have their materials out, and then members of the public were going to come in a big group and go through there, and we were all going to hobnob, and people were going to volunteer for stuff. The idea is not really clear in my mind. And the newspaper article, the Sentinel, didn't make it really any clearer. So we're not going.
As a formal planning
As the
board.
planning board.
You're
Right.
going as,
So if anybody wants to go as an individual, then you're free to go, and you want to talk up all the wonders of participating with the planning board.
what are our materials? Do we have materials? Our notebook?
The only time I can remember where we really worked with the public extensively was over the solar bylaw. We had a group of people that were primarily interested in a project coming to their area, And that's what got, the interest generated in their activity, but for somebody to just walk in here and say, hi, I want to work with the planning board, and, I don't know what we would have them do.
Maybe this would be an opportunity, though, for us to steal members from other boards.
Well, you can always have an associate,
Well-
can't boast on anything, but comes to meetings and participates, gets all the materials.
I mean, one thing that, I don't know what all the other boards do, and I know that not everybody, I'm particularly interested in the Conservation Commission because we do work on the same projects, and sometimes I go to the meetings just so I know what is said there that we're going to have to talk about the next night, but that's something that could happen, but I don't know if it would happen at the summit on Saturday, or even how you.
All right, well, you're all, I guess, welcome to go there and be yourself or be a member of the planning board or whatever. But the planning board is not gonna formally participate
Not as a board.
as a group. Okay, that's it. I'll make a motion to adjourn. And,
Second?
And the motion made and seconded, no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Esther, you could turn it off.
You're up.